Good afternoon, and good afternoon only to fans of the 32-4 Cleveland Cavaliers. Mikey McNuggets coming at you today for our first of the Cavs weekly series here on the Bleacher Report app. And guys, there's no debate anymore. The Cleveland Cavaliers are the undisputed number one team in the National Basketball Association right now after what was a incredible regular season contest last night against the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Cavs put on an offensive display that, frankly, has not been shown against Oklahoma City this season, scoring 129 points, despite the fact Donovan Mitchell, the team's leading scorer, a guy who you can pencil in to start the All-Star team or start the All-Star game for the Eastern Conference team, went just 3 of 16 from the floor, which means if Donovan wasn't scoring, how the heck did this Cavaliers team score 129 points against a historically good Thunder defense? Well, we're going to break that all down for you guys here. Coming up over the next 20 minutes, we're also going to dissect what the Cavaliers did that Oklahoma City could not match from a personnel standpoint and why this could be the start of a budding rivalry for years to come. But let's start with the elephant in the room, and that is one Donovan Mitchell. The question is, did Donovan just have an off shooting night, or did Oklahoma City do something that completely threw Donovan off his game? And after going back and rewatching the tape, I was in person for the game last night, so I like to go back and watch the broadcast just to get a different angle on the game to kind of see if I missed something or the announcer said something that was worth picking up on. And after watching the game back this afternoon and seeing how Donovan played, I actually want to give Donovan a little bit more credit than I did earlier today on the UCSS show. Donovan did not shoot the ball well. Not at all. 3 of 16 from the floor is one of his worst shooting performances as a professional. And I am not going to try and sugarcoat that whatsoever. He missed some shots. It happens. It's basketball. But I thought Donovan was actually really smart and intentional with the way that despite the fact he wasn't able to convert on his opportunities, he was getting into the paint, forcing the Thunder defense to collapse and allowing his teammates to make the necessary plays. He was a facilitator last night, more of a decoy than a destroyer, which he has been for the majority of his career. And I say it's impressive in that sense because we've given Donovan credit all season long for letting go of the reins and letting the likes of Darius and Evan and Jarrett and Karras and Strus at times and Dean Wade and whoever else he's on the court with kind of be the lead facilitator or offensive initiator at times. But in a game like last night against Oklahoma City on a 15-game win streak, 30-5 on the season, the national spotlight of an ESPN televised game, Donovan did not try to force many things that in the past I feel like he would have tried to force. He did not say, the cameras are here, the lights are brighter, this is my time to shine. He said, nah, it's not my night. I'm going to let Darius, Jarrett, and Evan lead us to a victory because at the end of the day, winning is more important than anything else. Now, a question that I'm going to ask Kenny Atkinson the next time I get a chance to speak to him. Kenny actually talks here in 10 minutes, so I won't be at the game tonight because I'm obviously hanging out with you guys. Is Donovan a better leader or a better basketball player? And as crazy as it sounds, I can make a case for both. I'm going to let Kenny answer that question because he obviously knows Donovan a lot better than we do, but the maturity and the growth and the development from Donovan to, on a game like that with an audience like it was, to not feel the pressure to try and go one-on-one and match SGA shot for shot or put the offense on his back because he's supposed to be that guy, is not something a lot of superstars in the league would do. And it's not something a lot of superstars would be willing to do. And I can tell you because I was in the locker room after the game last night, Donovan was just as excited after that performance and that result as he has been after any win this season. He wasn't sulking because he played poorly. He was excited and incredibly happy that his team pulled off a 129-122 win over the best team in the Western Conference. Donovan had been prepping his guys for this moment all season. We can go back and pick certain games, such as the Charlotte game when Evan went off and had that monster 41-point performance, or the home game against Milwaukee where Darius was incredible down the stretch and Donovan took the back seat, or Jarrett Allen at different times throughout the season where Donovan had kind of pushed them into the limelight in the biggest moments and said, you're going to, at some point this season, going to have to come through in a giant moment for us. Get the reps now. And last night was the culmination of all that practice. It was a thing of beauty from Donovan to be able to sit back and, despite shooting the ball sincerely, as bad as I've ever seen him shoot the ball, had a positive impact on the game. And he picked it up on the defensive end of the court. And I thought his playmaking really opened up some things for other guys. And those other guys are where I want to pivot to next. Evan and Jarrett. I will be the first to put my hand up. Can't see in the screen. There's my hand. And say, right now, on January 9th at 5:05 p.m. Eastern Time, I was wrong about their ability to coexist in a front court together and have the effective offense needed to win at the highest level in the NBA. The playoffs, we still have to see it. And I still have a sliver of doubt that there may be some things that don't work as well when you're scouted as well as a playoff series is and all this stuff. But for right now, for what we've seen, Kenny has turned what I deemed a weakness of this roster preseason into arguably this team's greatest strength when attacking other teams. Jarrett and Evan aren't your traditional bigs. They're not. They're not these 7-foot, 260-pound, slow-footed big man who can't move. They both can dribble the ball. They both are advanced passers, particularly from the short roll. They both have enough range, Evan more so than Jarrett, that they're not simply just lob threats. They both can switch on defense, guard 1 through 5s. They're both mobile enough to hedge and recover or blitz a pick and roll from defense and force the other team's point guard to get rid of the ball. These are, yes, they're bigs, but they're not what you think of when you think of a traditional old school big. Kenny has unlocked this offense and the spacing with these two bigs because he's empowering the two front court players to be more involved in the offense. It almost is counterintuitive. By giving the ball more to Jarrett and Evan away from the basket and allowing those two to do more, it has actually opened up space for everyone else in ways that I just didn't think was possible. And yes, Kenny deserves some credit, but Evan deserves a ton of credit from a player development standpoint. Coaching helps, but a lot of that goes on the player. And Jarrett is the most consistent player in the league. The dude wakes up with 12 points and 10 rebounds, 14 and 10, whatever the number is. And when teams say, all right, we have to live with somebody beating us because we can't guard everybody and we can't rotate our defense and give help to everybody, who's the guy who's most likely going to be who's going to be least likely to kill us one-on-one? Okay, Jarrett Allen. He comes through like he did last night and puts up a darn near triple-double, 20-plus points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists. Mobley and Allen last night combined for 13 assists. I saw a stat that last night, Evan Mobley, who had 21, 10, and 7, and Jarrett Allen, who had 25, 11, and 6, were the first big man duo since Tim Duncan and David Robinson in 1998 to both have 20, 10, and 6 or more assists in the same game. The first time in 26 years that's happened. Guys, it's not a fluke. These are incredibly skilled basketball players who just kind of happen to be 6'11", 7 foot. And it wasn't always like that. When Jarrett Allen was drafted in Brooklyn, he did not have the versatility to his offensive game that he has now. It's slowly developed. This didn't just happen like that overnight. But he has been a perfect embodiment of player development from the time he was drafted to the player he's become now. And Evan Mobley, my goodness, I mean, he's up to the second best odds in the FanDuel Sportsbook for the most improved player in the NBA behind only Cade Cunningham. The leaps and bounds this guy's made has been incredible. The game-sealing bucket he scored on Isaiah Hartenstein last night. Guys, it's 2 points in the box score, just like any wide-open dunk would be. But if you're watching the game and you watch the Cavs enough, Evan Mobley wasn't doing that last year. No. I said it on UCSS today. Evan Mobley caught the ball at the top of the key, took one dribble left. Hartenstein cut him off, went between his legs to the right, took one dribble, put his shoulder down, took a second quick dribble, and put up a right-handed floater on balance through contact. That's incredible. He's 6'11", and Hartenstein's a great defender. It was an incredible move. And last season, or 2 seasons ago, or during his rookie season, Evan Mobley, wouldn't even try to go left, so that's already a new development. He would have pump faked, took one dribble right, stopped his dribble, essentially picked up the ball, pump faked twice, pivoted, and tried a fadeaway jump shot. No, this year, Evan is aggressive. His balance has been maybe the most impressive part of this development. He doesn't get bumped off his spot like he used to. Now, he's still not this physical specimen from a strength standpoint like some of the other bigs in the league are, but his lower body is so much more balanced and stable. And I think some of the strength that he's put on over the last couple of seasons, although it doesn't look like it from the traditional muscles, biceps, shoulder standpoint, the dude just is heavier and stronger. And you can see it in his lower body. It doesn't get bumped off his spots. And we did that whole breakdown on Tuesday about Jalen Williams versus Evan Mobley. And the wingspan was relatively comparable. And I thought Jalen Williams actually did a pretty good job when he was stationary against Evan Mobley in the paint, doing what he can to stop a bigger defender. But as soon as Evan got ahead of steam, that's like a freight train coming downhill at you. And he's skilled enough that it's not just bully ball. It's a little bit of finesse matched with a little bit of bully. And that's how you get these beautiful results. And the reason for that is Kenny Atkinson has empowered these guys to do so. And Donovan Mitchell has empowered these guys to do so. So much of what is working for the Cavs this season is that they're all willing to sacrifice for the betterment of the team. Donovan's averaging 22.9 points per game this season. It's the lowest since his second season in the league. This is a guy who, if he wanted to, could average 32, 33 points. He could lead the league in scoring if he wanted to take 100 shots a game. Or if he wanted to be as much of a volume scorer as, let's say, someone like Jordan Poole or LaMelo Ball. Like, he could lead the league in scoring. That's not out of the question for Donovan Mitchell. He's that talented. But he doesn't give a crap about that stuff. All he cares about is winning at this point of his career. And Darius is along the same lines. He's matured incredibly well and has now developed into a late-game assassin for the Cavs. After the game, we were talking to Darius in the locker room, and Tristan Thompson interrupted his post-game scrum and made sure Darius answered the question of, should you be an all-star this year, Darius? And I've kind of flip-flopped on this just because the Eastern Conference guard selection is tough. But after last night, I don't think it's a debate anymore. Darius, 1,000,000,000% should be an Eastern Conference all-star. And I frankly don't even think it's that much of a discussion unless the Cavs teeter off and lose 5 of their next 8 games or something along the lines like that. Winning should matter. You should take into consideration for Darius's case that he's only playing 31 minutes a game. His per 36 numbers are as good as anyone in the league. He's the only guard in basketball shooting 49% from the floor, 43% from 3, and 90% or better from the free throw line. And when he's played against the other top point guards in the league, he's come out on top. I'm not saying he outdueled SGA one-on-one, mano-a-mano yesterday, but when the game was on the line, who'd the Cavs put the ball in the hands of? Darius Garland. And guess who closed out the game? Darius Garland, of all basketball players in the NBA with 20 or more shot attempts during clutch situations. And clutch situations, as defined by NBA.com, are games within 5 points in the final 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. So as soon as it's not a 5-point game, it is no longer considered a clutch situation. Darius has a field goal percentage of 74%. That's 20 points higher than anyone else in basketball. This dude has been the best clutch player in the NBA this season, and it's no surprise that the Cavs keep calling number 10's number when the going gets toughest. Guys, this Cavs team has been incredible through the first 36 games of the season. We gave you all the numbers before the OKC game. OKC's defense had been holding opponents to the second fewest points in the NBA per game. Their defensive rating entering last night was 102.7. That was the 4th lowest in the NBA since the year 2000. And the Cavs put up 129 points against them, despite a 3 of 16 performance from Donovan Mitchell. This Cavs team is legit. If you haven't bought in yet, there's nothing they can do to convince you otherwise because you're just a curmudgeon. They've proven everything they possibly could through the first 48% of the season that they are legit title contenders. And if you don't trust the pundits like myself who cover the team and talk about the Cavs for a living, take a listen to the other coaches and the other players when they're asked about the Cavs after Cleveland delivers a butt whooping on a nightly basis. JJ Redick said, you have to play a darn near perfect game to beat Cleveland. Draymond said, this Cavs team reminds me of the Warriors team when we got our dynasty rolling. LeBron says it's the most difficult offense to stop in the entire NBA, and the entire Oklahoma City locker room yesterday had nothing but praise for this Cavs offense. They're a wagon. There's no good option. It's a pick your poison every night. And what makes Cleveland so dangerous is it's not just the first unit. The second unit of Cleveland's whole roster, and they mix and match, so it's not an exact 5-for-5 swap, but when they bring in Karis LeVert and Max Strus and Ty Jerome, Dean Wade, Isaac Okoro, Sam Merrill, George Niang, these guys are all contributing. And I want to highlight Max Strus for a second because last night, I actually think Max Strus saved the game for the Cavaliers. In the first quarter alone, Max Strus was the only reason the Cavs did not enter the second quarter down by double digits. Oklahoma City dominated the first quarter from a defensive standpoint. They got Cleveland off of its shot profile. Cleveland took more mid-range shots in the first quarter yesterday than they averaged for an entire game in the first 35 contests of the season. Cleveland, after those first two makes from three, excluding Max Strus, was not efficient whatsoever from beyond the arc. OKC was more physical. OKC was dominating the glass. The first quarter did not go well for the Cavaliers offense. Donovan was 0 for 4 by himself, but Max Strus hit 3 threes in the first quarter and single-handedly kept Cleveland alive. And it wasn't just wide open, execute your offense perfectly kind of threes. It was, one was in transition, one was off a back screen, and one was off an offensive rebound. These were threes that Max Strus knew how to get to the right spot in the right moment and hit the dagger. If you have a guy like that with NBA Finals experience that you can bring off your bench and feel comfortable with in times where your best player and your superstar isn't coming through and you still put up 25 points in the first quarter, that is an incredible luxury to have. Big picture from the game. What a freaking game it was. How often do we get excited for a regular season matchup in any sport? We use the NBA for here, but we could talk about the NFL, and the Vikings-Lions game on Sunday Night Football last week was a dud, and that was hyped up to be the game of the century, 1 seed on the line. It very rarely happens where all the hype meets reality, and the expectations and what actually happens on the court are right in line with each other. And last night was the perfect example of that. Kenny Atkinson said, and it was an awesome quote, as he was being interviewed by Cassidy Hubbarth in the fourth quarter intermission interview, which is like, this is a great basketball game. This is what it's supposed to be like. It's a clash of styles. If you don't enjoy that, then I don't know what to tell you. It's a thing of beauty from both sides, and Oklahoma City isn't going anywhere anytime soon. They held right in with the Cavs despite not having Chet Holmgren and Alex Caruso. They also have more assets to trade if they want to acquire a player. The Thunder, I thought, played pretty darn well yesterday. In the third quarter, it was the first time all season that both teams in the same quarter scored 40 or more points. And these are two really good defensive teams, but it just goes to show in today's day and age, good offense beats good defense. And that's my big conclusion from yesterday's game. When the Cavs are playing offense like we have seen through the first 36 games of the season, they're darn near unstoppable. The only way Cleveland is going to be stopped from an offensive standpoint is if they don't have a great shooting night. And even last night, as you're watching the game, I had to look down at the box score in the middle of the fourth quarter because I was like, doesn't feel like the Cavs are shooting the ball that well from three. They're 43% from three. They ended the game at 42%. They've been so hot this year that even when they don't feel like they're shooting the ball well, they're shooting the ball better than any team on average in the NBA. They're a wagon. And they can come at you from so many different angles, so many different options, and so many different ways that Kenny Atkinson can deploy his offense. We talked about Strus shooting. Strus had 5 assists yesterday. They had 7 guys with 4 or more assists, which goes to show you that it's not a heliocentric offensive system. It's an equal opportunity offensive system. And those ones are the hardest to defend. I'll close with this. Oklahoma City made a conscious effort last night. We're going to try and do whatever we can to take Donovan out of his game and force whoever the big or whichever big is in the high part of the pick and roll. We're going to force them to make the right decision time after time after time in the short pocket. And if they do, so be it. You know what Evan and Jarrett did? They combined for 13 assists and 3 turnovers. How about that for your 2 7-footers? 13 assists, 0 turnovers. OKC picked the poison of, we're not going to let Donovan beat us. We're going to force the bigs to beat us. And guess what the bigs did? They put on a historic performance in the likes we haven't seen in over 2 decades. That's the kind of dangerous preposition the Cavs put you in. Because if Oklahoma City decided to go with the opposite approach and said, hey, we're not going to let Jarrett and Evan beat us from the high corner or from the short corner roll and make those quick pocket passes. We're going to force the guards to beat us. Well, then you're taking your chances against Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. And good luck with that, because those two are surefire locks for the All-Star game this season. Oklahoma City is a darn good basketball team. And the Celtics are the defending NBA champions. I guess they're technically national champions, but we don't call them national champions. The Knicks are a good basketball team. The Bucks have Giannis and Dame. But the reality is that right now, there is not a basketball team in the NBA playing basketball at the same level as the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are doing it night in and night out. They have the Toronto Raptors tonight at home. Donovan Mitchell is taking a scheduled rest game, so he won't play. All the other stars are expected to play. This has trap game written all over it, but this Cavs team is untrappable. Guys like Jerome and LeVert and Strus, guys who are working their way back in, trying to vie for extra minutes, this is like Christmas morning for them. And the Cavs' second unit is probably good enough to beat the bottom 3, 4, 5 teams in the league. Enjoy what the Cavaliers are doing right now because it may not last forever. It could. It may not. They're not going undefeated for the rest of the season. Or maybe they will. I highly doubt it. They're on pace for 73 wins. I'm not putting it out of the question because the way they're playing right now, there are no good answers to how to stop this Cavaliers offense. We'll have another post-game report for you guys coming up next week on the Bleacher Report app. We appreciate you guys tuning in. This will be happening every Thursday at 5 p.m. during the 2025 calendar year. We appreciate Bleacher Report for giving me this opportunity, and that's going to do it for this first edition of the Cavs Weekly. And there's no better way to have the first edition of the Cavs Weekly than talking about the first place team in the NBA. Go Cavs! We'll see you next time. And we're also streaming this on UCSS. Let's see if there's any comments on UCSS we got to talk about real quick. Sean Dunn says, let's go Cavs. Soul Train says, I feel like the Cavs are becoming an attractive team for buyout players. Yeah, they genuinely are in all seriousness. I'm not sure who's going to be in the buyout market yet. It's impossible to predict that ahead of time, but that is certainly a team that some veteran guys would be interested in coming to. Is Sam Merrill playing tonight? I'm not sure. Gabriel Fire says it's a Cavalanche. Soul Train, I think Strus starts Mitchell. It'll be LeVert or Strus. I would guess who starts, but I'm going to guess Strus because they like having LeVert come off the bench in that 6-man role. So, and let's see. Rumpy Foreskin says he will ever bring the Chase Down pod guys on. Yeah, Justin and Carter, my homies. I was texting them last night. I've been on their pod before. I've had Justin on the Ultimate Cavs show. Haven't had Carter on, but yeah, we got a crossover in the works coming very soon. I can promise you guys that. Appreciate everyone tuning in. We'll see you on UCSS tomorrow. Peace.